It started when I came into some of my grandfather's old diaries, which dated back to before the beginning of the Second World War. So a really interesting period, very fascinating time. His life was very interesting, and I'd never really known him because he died when I was very young. So these diaries, which were tiny, despite being really small, really minimal, brought this man to life to me in a way which nothing else had, and I really feel like I got to know him.
Take us back to the beginning. What do we know about how notebooks started?
It was surprisingly late in history, if you like. It was about 1300, and the real hotbed, the action was going on in Florence in Italy, and they were using notebooks there for absolutely everything, and it totally transformed the city and went on to transform Europe, I think.
A lot of communication we do today isn't on paper. It's whether we write down notes in our phone or we do a presentation off an iPad or a computer. Students in school use computers. I'm wondering if you think the days are numbered for the notebook.
I've got to say no, haven't I? But I do think the days are numbered. I think what's interesting is that a lot of when the digital devices arrived, laptop, 20, 25 years ago, and then the iPad about 10 years ago, there's this moment when everyone goes over to them and they love them and they're shiny and new and exciting. And then they realize slowly that actually the notebook is better for lots of things than writing on a screen. When you write on a screen, whether it's your iPad or a laptop, when you finished writing and you scroll away, the words just vanish up into this metal box and you don't really know where they are. But when you're writing in a notebook, you're actually making something with your hands. So you have this relationship with it in the same way as a potter has a relationship with a pot that they've made, yeah, or a painter with a painting that they've made. It's a physical thing which you have an emotional response to or connection to, I find anyway. And I think people don't have that emotional connection with the notes that they make in their iPhone so much.
I need to also ask you because you've come all the way from England to work with Biblioasis. They were a publisher that picked up your book. How hard was it for you to pitch this idea?
It was a process. I was researching notebooks for a long time and trying to convince people that they were interesting and that, well, more than that, that there was a large audience of people who would find them interesting. And eventually got there, had a UK publisher, and then they put me in touch with Biblioasis. So Biblioasis have got North America, which is fantastic. And it turns out that people are really interested in notebooks, and there's been a ton of interviews like this on UK radio, and I've lost count of podcasts. Podcasters seem to be notebook obsessives, so I'm speaking to two podcasters later today, and so yeah, people do seem to have been interested, which is really gratifying, and I feel a bit vindicated.
Yeah, no doubt. It's interesting when we have these creative ideas. It's one thing to have the idea, it's another to articulate it and sell an audience to buy into it. But now that it's published,
It's happy days.
everybody wants it.
Hope so.
Do you have a favorite type of notebook you write in?
Yeah, for my daily journal, I use Japanese notebooks. Japanese paper is lovely. It's really smooth, really thin, so you can get a lot of pages into quite a small diary. So there's a brand I love called Stalogy, but a lot of the Japanese ones are lovely. And then I used to use the Leuchtturms and Moleskines and everything else as well. They're all good, really. I don't have a super favorite, but I love the Japanese paper.
What about a pen or a pencil?
Pens I am really fussy about. I like to use a Uniball Micro UB150, and I'm glad you asked because no one ever
Yeah.
has. Yeah, I'm very fussy about pens.
Yeah, me too. Will you scratch it out if you make a mistake or you want to rethink? Or will you how do you make that indication on your page?
Straight cross out and rewrite immediately afterwards. Yeah, I never erase anything. Can't be bothered.
No.
No.
Gone are the days of the whiteout. Remember the whiteout pen?
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
used one.
Very messy. Yeah, and Tipex pots. Do you have Tipex over here? Liquid paper, which just dried up,
Yeah.
and they would go solid after 6 months. Horrible.
Yeah. And then you'd put it on, you just keep layering the paint. And then you'd be flapping your book trying to dry it out. And everyone around you's like, oh man, that smells.
I sense
Oh.
there's some trauma here in your past.
The interview was just twisted. I'm glad you asked. Yeah. No. Roland, this has been a pleasure.